All right, Giants Nation. So I'm looking at this post from Warren Sharp, and Warren Sharp posted the highest rate of incompletions due to inaccurate passes. And for some of y'all, that might not mean anything, but you ever just been watching your quarterback and wonder, like, okay, whose fault was that? Was it the wide receiver not being able to catch the ball because he's just not that good, or was it a bad throw from the quarterback? This stat would be a great indicator of that. So for Geno Smith, 21% is great. So anyone that's low on the list, they had a great season last year in terms of accurate passes. So no surprise, the baby goat Patrick Mahomes is number 4. Kirk Cousins was pretty good last year. Jake Browning, I didn't know was that great statistically, but I don't know how many yards per game he was throwing. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Jake Browning is the quarterback for Cincinnati, so he has really good wide receivers, so that could play into it too. Same with Geno Smith, but some of it, you still have to be accurate at least, so there's something there. I mean, most of the guys on the list that are low are not surprising. Jared Goff, Russell Wilson. People crap on Russell Wilson, but I still feel like he's a good quarterback. Justin Herbert's good. That's the guy I wanted for us, man. That's crazy. Dak Prescott's up there. I'm not a fan of Dak Prescott, but he is a good quarterback. Some people want him next season. I think you're an idiot. I would not take any quarterback that played for Dallas Cowboys just because you think we need a quarterback. No, I don't want Dak. I want nothing to do with Dak. But statistically, he's pretty good. Except for in the clutch when the season's on the line, then you can't count on Dak Prescott. Will Levis, I never thought was that great of a quarterback, but I guess there's something there if you're at 27.4%, right below Josh Allen. So, and then Brock Purdy is on a 30% too, and Jalen Hurts. So there's a couple quarterbacks on here that I'm not shocked that they're low in terms of their percentage of inaccurate passes. But Deshaun Watson being high on the list and being the worst quarterback is not surprising to me. You guys were crying about Daniel Jones's contract, and I've been saying that Deshaun Watson's contract is worse, and now Trevor Lawrence's contract is worse. Trevor Lawrence is pretty high on the list too. Deshaun Watson, to me, is no longer that player from Houston, and I don't think being healthy next year is going to change that. I just think he just doesn't have it anymore, and I'm actually shocked at how high Tyrod Taylor is on the list. I understand we had the worst offensive line in the league, but it's not even like he was throwing over 8 yards per game. He's at like 7.4. I'm sure there are guys that are lower on the list that were throwing that same amount of yards, and they're not that high in terms of inaccurate passes. So maybe Tyrod Taylor is a little bit overrated. I had a lot of people say, oh, Tyrod Taylor was the best quarterback last year. And I'm like, it's not hard. And I'll say this. I'm not saying that Tyrod Taylor is not a good backup quarterback. But this whole idea that he's a good quarterback and so much better than Daniel Jones is actually fake, because if you think about it, if Saquon Barkley was done for the season along with Andrew Thomas, and if Josh Azudo and Neal actually stayed healthy, that man probably wouldn't have made it to the final game of the season. He would have got hurt just like Daniel Jones, because that version of the offensive line that Daniel Jones had to throw behind was the worst version the entire season. I don't care how many sacks they gave up when DeVito and Tyrod Taylor were out there, because some of those sacks were actually on the quarterback. And, if you talk about a nightmare scenario where Thomas and Barkley don't come back and you got those two bums at tackle, we would be talking about Caleb Williams as our new quarterback and how great he looks with his red and blue fingernail polish. But that's neither here or there. But what do you guys think about this list?